Don't you love it when you can really stretch a dollar and make something that looks and feels high-end? Well, I think I have just what you need. Hello, I hope you're doing well. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Jorge, and today I have 3 more Dollar Tree DIYs that I think turned out fantastically. Now, like all of my DIYs, I want to make sure that they look and feel high-end and not look like DIYs. Now, if that's something you're into, be sure to hit that subscribe button because I have plenty here. So let's just dive in, alright? Okay, so I'm very excited for this project, and we're gonna blend together something that is very like vintage, antique looking to like a modern form. Blend it together to create something kind of cool, and that is a pedestal bowl. Now I know what you're thinking, oh my gosh, another pedestal bowl. I know, I've done them, they're all over the internet, but trust me, I think this one is worth trying. It legitimately feels and looks authentic, like vintage pottery, and it's something that I have seen online. I'll put a picture here that sells for way more than like $2. Footed bowls are a DIYer's dream. Not only are they easy to do, but they actually look good. So if you're not crafty, don't worry, this is something that you can do and not fail. You're gonna need this red bowl from Dollar Tree and this glass cup that I also picked up from Dollar Tree. You can probably use any of them. The reason I chose these specific one is because the base or the bottom of the two fit perfectly with each other to create the smallest seam as possible. So I applied some E6000, a little bit of hot glue just to hold it in place while the E6000 cures. Did the same thing for the other one. If I were to try this again, I would maybe use a white porcelain or ceramic bowl, which I know they sell at Dollar Tree. You will see here in a moment why, but for now, I want to make sure that this piece right here looks like one solid ceramic or pottery piece or whatever, not two things glued together. In order to do that, I always like to use this caulking. They also sell it at Dollar Tree. It's fantastic. It's paintable too. So I'm going to just put it here on the seam and then just using my finger, spreading it evenly, wiping off the excess, making sure it's nice and perfect. It's actually kind of satisfying to do. Now it is time to make this look like pottery. Now I waited about an hour or two, just enough that the caulking dried. However, the E6000 is still curing, so we want to be gentle. But I'm going to do this with cement. That's right, cement. If you use concrete mix, make sure to filter out the aggregates. But if you have not watched already my high-end cement video, I share a couple of different techniques on how to work with cement, including adding color. But in this video, I will basically just add some color using the cement pigment. I will also link that below. But for this consistency, we basically want it to be kind of like paint, thick, a little bit runny, but not so watery. As you can see, I'm adding a little bit of this pigment. I forgot the name of it, but it's basically kind of like a tan color, mixing that really well. And I'm just gonna brush it on there like paint. As you can see, it kind of is really watered down here. And I will note that this does cure or dry fast, so we want to make sure that we're working fast, but just spread it all over, paint it nicely even, and I don't know, just have fun. My first intention was to coat the entire thing, but after giving it some thought, I thought it'd be a cool contrast in texture if I left the inside pretty much smooth. So I'm just coating the entire exterior, making sure not to flip this over because it will like go into the bowl. I moved it to a drier location and then just let that fully cure, probably like an hour since this is so thin. Once that cured, I flipped it over, and as you can see, there's this like really cool contrast here. Even the red I think is kind of nice. I probably would have left it as is, but I don't know, like the boring side of me was like, nah, let's paint it white. So that's what I'm going to do here. But before I do that, I'm going to just do a quick light sanding on the exterior because I love texture. But what I really like about pottery is that it's like visual texture. It's smooth to the touch, not rough. So I went ahead and did that, and now I'm spray painting the inside of the bowl. It's alright if you paint the concrete right now because we're gonna apply another layer. I'm giving it multiple coats of the paint just to make sure it's more durable, but this is where that white porcelain or ceramic bowl would have come in handy just because it would be white already and more durable, but nonetheless here we are. I'm going to add another coat of the cement mix, adding a little bit of the aggregate color, and it does not matter if it's the same color or not. You can even add a different color or just mix different colors. Nonetheless, I'm going to put it on there evenly, making sure that it's nicely spread. Once that fully cures, I want to make sure that this is sealed. By the way, I do not recommend this for food, even though I'm going to stage it with food. I'm going to use Thompson's water seal. Thank you to one of my subscribers who recommended this, but it actually seals concrete, and when it dries, it does not look like it's wet or anything. So let's take a look at the final result. So wall art is a great way to add some interest to your space, maybe bring together color palettes or things like that. However, Dollar Tree's wall art selection is almost non-existent. In fact, they have like word art and things with letters and weird stuff. Let's stay away from that. However, they do have some frames. Even though they're on the smaller side, I'm going to show you a trick on how you can make it something look up here larger, and some easy art that you can do as well. Now I love me a good custom wall art moment, and we need a good frame for that. But Dollar Tree's frames, they're okay, however they're on the thinner side. We want to make a custom frame by stacking two together, an 11 by 14 and an 8 by 10. In this case, I'm going to take the 11 by 14, the largest one that they carry at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to sandwich between the two a plastic woven placemat. And in this case, it just happens to be the perfect width, so I'm just going to cut the length off to make sure that it's the same size. And my intention with this is to create one of those like frames that oftentimes have like the linen fabric border, or what are they called? I think they're like mat boards. Regardless, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to put some E6000 on the glass, and yes, that is an ugly ceiling light that you see reflected there. Yes, it's on my list to replace, but we're going to just work with it for now. And we're going to put that placemat onto there, and we want to make sure that this cures fully before we paint this. In this case, I'm just going to leave it overnight, and then I'm going to come back to it and show you the next part. Now that that's fully cured, it's time to paint this placemat. It is on glass, so we want to make sure that we're being very careful and safe. Now, reminder, this is an 11 by 14 frame. Now I'm going to take the 8 by 10 frame, the smaller one. And the reason I chose this one is it actually has the same frame style as the other one, just to keep it consistent. But we're going to take just the frame, and we're going to paint the two frames and that placemat one color. In this case, I'm going to use this like khaki color by Rust-Oleum. I think it's part of like their camouflage collection. It's the only one they had on hand. I kind of like it. I'll link it below if I can find it. Like multiple coats of that. Now it's time to do the artwork. For the artwork, I could easily put a photo, or I don't know, maybe something else, maybe a watercolor or something like that. I'm just gonna paint the actual glass itself. This is the 8 by 10 one, so the smaller frame that's gonna go in the front. So I'm gonna paint it like a canvas. So I'm gonna paint it white. Now disregard the beige and black here. I like to reuse my plates, but I'm gonna give it multiple coats of the white just to make sure that I am covering that glass and making it look like an actual canvas. I don't know, you might be screaming at the not the TV. Maybe you're watching this on TV. Shout out if you are. But I don't know. I'm painting glass. Why not? It's only $1. For the art itself, let's keep it simple. Even if you're not artistic, you can achieve this. So you're going to take some white paint, some light brown, and some black, mix it all together to create sort of like a lighter gray. Obviously you can do whatever color you like, and they do sell paint and paintbrushes at Dollar Tree. But here I'm going to create sort of like a slim rectangle. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just freehanding this, and I kind of like that paint stroke. I think it has a nice quality to it. Once that fully dries, I'm going to paint a series of black dots with just some black paint in this smaller brush and create several rows and kind of just work my way across the painting and reduce the frequency. I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess this might be abstract art, very minimal. I don't know if it's my style, maybe it is, who knows. Comment down below, let me know if you like this type of artwork or not. Obviously, there's no wrong way to do this. Just have fun, enjoy that moment of creativity. I wish we had more of it in our life. Now, once that fully dries, it's time to put this all together, and the order does matter. So let's put together the whole frame first, and that is going to be that placemat with that larger frame, obviously. And we want to make sure that it's nicely secured, make sure that the tabs are nicely in, and turn it over and look at it like normal, and then we're gonna go ahead and glue that other smaller one on top of it. Now when we put this on there, it's actually gonna be there forever, so we won't be able to change out the artwork, so make sure you're happy with it. Put the frame on it just like normally, and then let's go ahead and put some E6000 around the border of that smaller frame because we're going to glue it to that larger one and stack it basically. This will create sort of the illusion of like a larger frame. That pretty much does it for this artwork, so let's take a look at the final result. One of the things I love about interior design is that you can constantly rotate things around as needed, maybe incorporate some trends or things that you're just into at the moment. And I think this next vessel or vase, whatever you call it, I think is a great one. Definitely more on the modern side, but I think this is something that you can totally customize. Maybe you can paint it a different color than what I did or whatever. So yeah. Two things that I love in life are blackened steel and modern cylinder vases from Dollar Tree. Now I'm going to craft together a modern vase, and for the handles I'm going to use this wooden dowel. Technically it's a toilet plunger rod from Dollar Tree, but when you cut the ends off you have 16 inches to work with. Now, assuming you're going to do this for 2 cylinders, I did the math, and if you cut this at 3 inches, 6 inches, and 11 inches, you will get 2 sets of handles for the vases. Now, this is the small one and the large vase together. I know they might be hard to come by, but if you find them, definitely pick them up. I'm going to spray paint this black, flat black actually, just because it looks more metallic, but you can obviously do whatever color you would like. Also, I'm going to take this time, go say hi on Instagram. So many of you have been loving my work over there. I do some DIYs, post some home content, and just all sorts of goodness. All right, go check me out. When it comes down to cutting, I'm going to be using my chop saw. Obviously, not everyone has access to this. So since this dowel is actually pretty thin, you can use like a little miter box. I know Dollar Tree sells some saws as well. You shouldn't have a problem cutting this. Now I'm going to actually sand off the edges here just so that they're a little bit cleaner. I'm going to use, I think this is maybe 120 grit sandpaper, just enough on there just so that it looks a little bit more professional done. And then just lightly sanding the rest of the dowels. Now I could totally stop here, but I'm going to be extra and I'm going to just stain these. I'm not going to use stain, I'm going to use a little trick I like to call water and paint. You mix the two together and you sort of get like this black water. You could probably do like a dark brown too, whatever. So I'm going to brush this onto the dowels, and this will basically give it a light stain, not too much. I'm not really going for like a dark stain or anything, just enough so that it brings out sort of the black undertones, which will, I think, complement nicely with the black vase. Just very, very lightly. Obviously, the more paint, the more stain it will have. Once that fully dries, it's time to attach this to the cylinder, and you might be wondering how we're going to do this. Well, now that you ask, I'm going to actually use E6000. I feel like I've been using that a lot today. Maybe they should sponsor me. But I'm going to create one line here, just down the middle of the dowels with the ruler, just to get a nice and straight edge. But that will be my guideline as to where I'm going to put the E6000. Very gently, I'm going to put along the line, not too much because I don't want this to be seen. Just enough so that it holds onto the wood and to the cylinder vase. I'm also taking my toothpick here just to clean it up a little bit. Also working kind of fast because this will start to dry. And then honestly, I probably should have measured and done something, but I'm kind of just eyeballing it here, putting it onto the vase and then just putting a little bit of the tape. Now, when you put the tape on there, don't press on too hard onto the black vase because it might peel off the paint later on. And then doing the same thing to the other side. Again, kind of just eyeballing it. I probably should have like measured or done something, but just living life on the edge here. Of course, leave the tape on there while the glue cures. Once you remove that, basically that's pretty much it. Don't grab this by the handles though. I feel like these are just more for decor. I'm afraid that they're gonna fall off. But that does it for this project. I think this is a really cool like modern vase. So let's take a look at how I styled it. So that does it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button. It really helped me out. Also, let me know which project you like best, or if you plan to recreate any of these. Be sure to, of course, to subscribe for more videos like this. I'm gonna put some other Dollar Tree DIY videos that I've done. Trust me, you're gonna want to binge watch this playlist if you haven't done so already, or if you have, do it again. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.